The conclusion of the Eastern Conference semis and the Western Conference semis has finally come. We now know the final four who will be representing both conferences, or yeah, in this situation, to see who's going to be the new NBA champion. There's so much parity going on right now in the NBA. It's pretty dope. I mean, the parity that's going on. Whereas you've had a new NBA champion pretty much every season. You haven't had real dynasties as of late. So that just tells you how much talent is in the league at the moment. So without further ado, let's get to both games. Uh Real quick. Knicks, Pacers. I don't want to dissect it too much because the real series that I care about the most was Minnesota and Denver. But just to really touch base on what happened here, and it's not really a lot to dissect there. New York was like the Walking Dead, basically. The fact that they were able to get as far as they got with all the injuries they had throughout the playoffs and throughout the season, as far as when the season ended, they lost some guys, a couple guys. So these guys were like the Walking Dead, and they were just tough as nails. If you're a New York fan, you should not be disappointed in what you got from that team because you got every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears out of that team. So the fact that they got as far as they got, pushed Indiana as far as they could push them, it is impressive, man. It's extremely impressive. But Jalen Brunson ended up breaking his hand before the end of the game. They were already getting blown out, but it's just after a while, man, it's the battle of attrition after a while. When you play as many minutes as Tom Thibodeau's teams usually play, trust me, I know I am a disgruntled Chicago Bulls fan. So I know all about Tom Thibodeau. New Britain, Connecticut's own Tom Thibodeau. I know all about him. Fan of him, but also, it's a love-hate as far as his coaching style. He ran those young Bulls teams to the ground. Luau Dang, Joakim Noah, of course, Derrick Rose. He ran those boys to the ground. They were playing 40 plus minutes every single night, 82 game seasons. And about time you got to the playoffs to play like the Heat teams that had LeBron and Wade and Bosh, they didn't have anything left a lot of those games because you just ran them to the ground all year round and you didn't really spread out your rotations. And Tibbs is still doing similar things now, not as bad as he was then, but he's still, he's Tibbs. He coaches hard, man, and he plays his guys hard. You just got to be, I guess, fit to play for him. I mean, but yeah, they lost to the Pacers. Pacers came out shooting lights out. I mean, at the end of the game, they shot a record 67% from the field. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, what are you gonna do? If guys are just falling backwards and throwing shit up and it's going in, it ain't no kind of defense in the world that's gonna stop that. So Tyrese Halliburton went crazy. He finally showed up. I was happy for him because I was beginning to worry about dude. I'm like, aren't you good anymore? It's like it seemed like throughout this series, he's a young guy. So I think with Halliburton, he's a young guy, star player on a small market team in Indiana. I think his expectations got to him throughout the year because first and foremost, he's a pass first point guard. So I think he got in his head a lot of times throughout the series where he wasn't as aggressive as he should have been. Maybe if you get a more aggressive Tyrese Halliburton throughout the series, maybe it doesn't go seven. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they close out in six in Indiana. So Halliburton definitely showing up and putting some respect on his name was definitely needed for him and his sake going forward, as far as his reputation is concerned. But yeah, man, Knicks went out in a blaze of glory. I was happy that the fans appreciated the team's effort and what they gave them because those guys were playing on fumes throughout the series. OG Ananobi came out. with one leg. He tried to Willis Reed it, but he only lasted about 4 or 5 minutes because I mean the guy is literally his hamstrings damn near hanging off his body at this point. So, credit those guys for gutting it up, but Indiana advances. So, the 6th seed now is going to go play Boston. Boston's been resting up. They're still waiting on Porzingis to hopefully make an appearance in this series sometime at some point. But no excuses for the Celtics. This is like I haven't seen an easier pathway to the finals. Maybe one of those LeBron years in the East where they just caked walked all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals and into the finals. This is kind of one of those situations with the Celtics. You didn't have to go through Giannis. You didn't have to go through Embiid and those guys. You didn't even have to go through the Knicks, who was banged up anyway. So even if you got the Knicks, you wouldn't really play a fully healthy Knicks team. And now you're getting a 6 seeded Indiana Pacers team who doesn't really truly have a superstar player. So there's no excuses, dude. I don't even care if Porzingis doesn't make an appearance in this series because, quite frankly, the Celtics are talented enough to beat the goddamn Pacers without Porzingis. I don't want to hear it. These guys can beat the Pacers without Kristaps or Kristaps, excuse me. So that's the Eastern Conference. So yeah, that game will come underway. I think that game is Tuesday or Wednesday, either or. That's how they're splitting the two conference games. Now, like I said, the Denver Minnesota game. Denver Minnesota, man, it lived up. It was the series of all series when it came to this year's playoffs. Hands down. It ain't even close. I mean, they went a full 7, and the craziest thing is nobody was really protecting their home court. Nobody. Everybody was just kind of doing, I don't know, playing better on the road for some odd reason. This game 7 was just it was a roller coaster ride. First, Denver came out dominating, looking like the defending champions. It kind of looked like a game 5 type performance in the beginning, where the T Wolves were kind of, sputtering on their heels. Denver came out swinging. Jamal Murray, I don't even remember how much he scored in the first half. It might have been like 20 something points in the first half. I mean, he was going off. Jokic had like 13 points, 15 rebounds, and a few assists. So it was one of those kind of halves. So they went into halftime up 15. And that's when the wheels fell off. Minnesota came out and they were Minnesota from like game 1 and 2. When it came to defense, they was locking everybody up. Everybody was locked down. You know what I'm saying? It was straight up like penitentiary up in there, like handcuffs everywhere. So to see those guys ramp it up, completely, turn flip the switch defensively was impressive. Denver just in the third quarter, I'm watching the game and I'm like, these guys can't make a shot to save their life. No one was making shots. Um, Jokic, he wasn't shooting great from the 3 point line. I think he was like 1 for 7 entering like the fourth quarter or something like that. It was insane. But he's a reluctant shooter anyway. He's not trying to shoot threes. He'll shoot them if he has to or if they're just given to him. But the team didn't shoot well from three at all. They shot overall 8 from 33 from three. Like horrid. You're not gonna win many games when you're shooting when you only make 8 out of 33 3 pointers. I mean, who you fooling? And who you gonna kid? Because you ain't gonna win no games like that. So the fact that that happened, along with the fact that their bench only gave them 5 points total. That's it. That's what you got from the goddamn bench for the Denver Nuggets, the defending champions or former defending champions. You got 5 points. So the crazy thing was, I thought throughout the season, the narrative that everybody kept planning about losing a Bruce Brown off the bench, who was pivotal for them last year in winning the championship, I didn't think it would have mattered, but it did. It ultimately did. I was wrong on that. I thought that they could replace Bruce Brown. They could pick up the slack with him, and it just didn't happen. It didn't happen. Their bench was pretty much mediocre all season. It was very underwhelming throughout the playoffs as well. Those guys didn't really show up in the Lakers series either. So when you have a weak bench like that, that means your starting five, your core players have to carry even more. And when you're playing a supremely talented team like the Minnesota T-Wolves, who are young, athletic, long, tall, whatever you want to put in there, as far as a perfect concoction of basketball player, they have it. So it's just going to be a grind. You're just putting too much on those core players, and those core players are Jokic, Jamal Murray, KCP and Gordon and obviously Porter Jr. So that leads me on to a perfect segue onto Porter Jr. Porter Jr. I get it. A lot of people, not a lot, but there are some Porter Jr. fans out there who really loves this kid's talent or this young man's talent. Me, I'm all about what have you done for me lately and what can we do moving forward. Me personally, if I'm in the front office of the Denver Nuggets, number one, I know this. I have to make changes to this roster because now I have to build it to beat Minnesota. That's exactly what Minnesota did. They built their team to beat Denver and they succeeded. So now Denver has to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, what do we need? Obviously, you need a goddamn bench because this bench is trash. These guys are just afraid of the spotlight. They can't shoot worth a lick. You got to get some shooting. And two, um, I know that it's going to be hard to move some contracts around, so you may have to give up a core player or two. Listen, I'm giving up Porter Jr. It's time to trade Porter Jr. to somebody else that can help him or wait for his potential to fully blossom because I'm done waiting. I'm on some Golden State Warriors type shit. Like F them picks and hey, if you ain't with the program now for today, we ain't worried about the future. That's why I think Michael Porter Jr. could be dangled for some trade bait where you can get a couple good pieces. You may get a nice complimentary starter, and then you get a pretty good bench player that you need. Maybe a skill big, or because or another guard because Reggie Jackson was not it. 34-year-old Reggie Jackson ain't it, especially with all these younger, more athletic guards, longer guards that's like 6'6", 6'4", 6'5", 200 plus pounds or whatever. Bro, Reggie Jackson, they swallowed his ass up in this Minnesota series. Non-effective. you know, you need something better than that. So I would trade Michael Porter Jr. for some pieces, for a couple pieces. I don't know what those pieces are. I'm not a GM, obviously, but I think you have to break it up at some point. I don't think they're terrible. Even if they stayed the same, Denver, they're still a top three Western Conference team or top four Western Conference team. But then you have to wonder, hey, how good are we going to be when it comes to the Mavericks, when it comes to the Thunder, who have a ton of draft picks and have a ton of salary cap money to spend and all of that young talent. And they got as far as they got just the way they are now. So imagine how they're going to be next year if Sam Presti makes any moves during the offseason. So if I'm Denver, I'm not waiting. I'm not going to come as constituted as we are now. I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to shake some things up. And, it's going to require that to beat a team like Minnesota. Minnesota ain't going nowhere. Like I said, they're a young team. They're not going anywhere. Their superstar player, Anthony Edwards, is 22. He ain't going nowhere. So, yeah, man, Denver Nuggets. It was sad to see him go out this way. I felt bad for Jokic watching the game because you could see him just wear down throughout the game. Nas Reed, I gotta give a shout out to Nas Reed, six man of the year. I tell you what, it's a real big asset to have a six man of the year coming off your goddamn bench in Minnesota. I mean, he was like a relief pitcher coming off the bench. Like if you're in baseball, I'm using it in a baseball analogy. It's like you get through the seventh and eighth inning using your relievers, the stretch innings, so you can get to your closer in the ninth. And Nas Reed was like the eighth inning. He was the closer. Let's just say that. And they didn't have to wait for the ninth inning to use him. They waited to the eighth inning and he closed out. Like that's the analogy if you want to use a baseball term there. So, that's something Denver just didn't have. They didn't have a Nas Reed to just take off the bench, you know? So that's right there, Jaden McDaniels. I didn't even mention him. You got Carl Anthony Towns, you got Ant-Man, of course. You got Nas Reed, six man of the year, coming off the bench, giving you 15 plus points. And then you got Jaden McDaniels giving you like 20 points. Like you know, that's the spot that Porter Jr. should be in as the fourth guy. You're the fourth guy. You're not the second best, third best. You're the fourth guy. And for you not to be able to consistently give this team 15 points a game with your skill set is a joke. I'm sorry. Time to get in the lab, bro, or get on the trading block. That's what I think. So, yeah, man, we got the final four. We got Minnesota versus the Dallas Mavericks. That's going to be an interesting series. Um, who knows how that's going to go with Luca and Kyrie versus Towns and Anthony Edwards. So those two younger teams are going to go at it. That'll be awesome. And then you got the Celtics and the Indiana Pacers. Not the sexiest game when you compare the two, but this is where we are. So um it's gonna be a dandy to see how this all ends up. But yeah, we're gonna keep you posted on all of that over here at Chuck West World. Remember to hit the subscription button below and I don't know, maybe share this or something. That'll be awesome. Thanks a lot. Until the next video.